we brought you that update on the pregnant woman from a bombed Mariupol hospital who later died along with her newborn baby. With us now, David Sheffer. He was the first U.S. ambassador at large on war crime issues in the 1990s. He also led the U.S. delegation to the UN talks establishing the International Criminal Court. So good to have you, Mr. Ambassador. Let's start here with what we've heard from the administration, from the State Department to the Pentagon, the White House. They have not been speaking with one voice on whether what we're watching qualify as war crimes, some going further than others in that declaration. Is there any question in your mind that war crimes are being committed in Ukraine?
Oh, there's no question whatsoever. War crimes as well as crimes against humanity, most likely. Remember, this is all under the rubric of a war of aggression, which itself is illegal. So on a sort of a state responsibility level, everything the Russian military is doing in Ukraine right now is illegal on its face. Now, if you look at individual strikes, then you get into sort of the microscopic view of war crimes investigations as to whether or not there was intent, was there a mistake by an individual soldier or officer in the field. But the responsibility goes all the way to the top, the generals and Mr. Putin himself, and they are not doing what they're supposed to do to preserve the integrity of the law. Namely, they should be preventing war crimes from taking place. They clearly are not doing that. And they should punish those who actually do commit the war crimes. And we've heard no information that they're doing that. This is such a highly publicized hit on Ukraine in terms of video, audio, print. It is impossible that the generals and Mr. Putin are not aware of what is occurring on the ground during this war of aggression. And yet we do not hear them exercising their responsibility as commanders and as the president of Russia, Mr. Putin, to actually prevent these from occurring or to punish those who are committing them on the ground. And that's they're implicating themselves every day. They're incriminating themselves every day. Their footprints are all over this.
So this sends me in several different directions. You mentioned President Putin, obviously, the generals, obviously. Who else could face potentially charges from the ICC?
Well, officers who are closer to the combat in Ukraine itself could face indictments in the future. The ICC may take a strategy at times of working from the bottom up, from the low-level officers all the way up the chain of command to Mr. Putin. I think the point I'm making is that in a sort of unique way here in the Ukrainian situation, there is so much from the top down that is publicly stated and articulated by the Russian government that it's not necessarily going to be a bottom-up investigation. It might actually be a top-down investigation. One example was the hospital that you just indicated. They could have claimed that was a mistaken hit, which is a typical defense in war crime litigation. Instead, they actually doubled down and said, oh, no, we actually wanted to hit the hospital because we think there's some military personnel there, which, of course, would never stand up in the court of law.
So then how long do you expect this will go on? We know that some of these investigations can go on for years. What's your expectation on a potential indictment if one comes?
International criminal justice is the long game. It's not the short game. So therefore, it could take years. However, I think the indictments could come down within a few months.
All right, David Sheffer, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.